Good day to each one of you, my 258 participants. I welcome you all to GGG 2021 refresher course and day 14. Thank you very much for giving me so much energy that I try to get hold of those people so that, you can understand that how easy it is to use geospatial tools and GIS software. And that's what is the whole mantra for today. Welcome Wing Commander Satyam Khushwaha. Welcome Shikha, Soma, Khusro, and Dr. Shekhar. I welcome you all. I'm Seema Mehra Parihar, convener of this course and who is passionate about geography and geospatial tools and technologies. Wing Commander Satyam Khushwaha is a national security strategist, entrepreneur, and a space geospatial evangelist with more than 24 years of experience specialized in military aviation, policy planning, strategy and program design, and geointelligence analysis for both defense and infrastructure. He says, I have strong capabilities in conceptualizing national level strategy programs, policy planning, organizational refinements, multilateral coordination, steering design, development, and trials of multi-agency technology platforms at various levels. And of course, I know, as far as, looking at my interactions with him, that he is making a difference. He is a director of Indian Space Association. He was also a co-founder and startups Skytail Alpha Private Limited, Globe Strat Solutions Private Limited, Brains Mapper Analytics Private Limited, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and you have startups coming, and he's part of that journey and making a difference. 2018 to 21, he was a strategic consultant and chief geospatial officer for MOTH. A strategic consultant created a report for setting up of a center for geospatial analytics for MOTH report accepted and for rupees 490 crore allocated for project. He's actually trying to show you that geography exists and it matters. He served as a geospatial officer to oversee implementation of CJAM. He has, to his credit, a lot of courses. Basic electronic warfare course he's done, media management course, photo interpretation course, remote sensing and GIS, just like many of you from NRSC, and SAR image interpretation course also. His interest areas are in music, photography, graphology, and traveling, national service, engaging in activities relating to nation building and protecting national interest. His one of the major achievements is that he has created an online think tank called Kranti. Kranti, what he calls this acronym as Knowledge, Resources, Analytics, Network, Technology, Innovation, and Integration, comprising of various groups on Messenger to facilitate exchange of ideas for nation building and social service. I'm also part of few of these groups, and the members are niche professionals from diverse backgrounds. Kranti has been at the forefront of providing voluntary support for COVID, as well as policy and technical inputs to ministers and senior officers in the government. It's a personally led voluntary efforts in the Kranti initiative to save lives during COVID pandemic on a pan-India basis, saved more than 3,500 lives as part of the effort. We are proud of you, Professor Khushwaha, and we welcome you that today you are here and you are decided to share your expertise with my young faculty members. He was a fighter pilot with accident-free flying record, mooted the idea of providing last pay drawn from families of aircrew killed during battle inoculation and other dangerous exercises during peacetime. Same was later implemented by Indian Air Force, and he helped in resettlement of families of deceased IAF personnel. He's won many accolades, honors, awards, and recognition. To name few, he was awarded by Chief of Air Staff and Chief of Integrated Defense Staff for pioneering innovations in geointelligence analysis. He represented India 4 times at United Nations Global Geospatial Information Management meetings. He represented India twice as a delegation member during meeting of BRICS Collaborative Geospatial Working Group. He recognized by Indian Navy for contributing during Kerala floods, wherein I went beyond the box to provide accurate, actionable inputs through the disaster for saving thousands of lives from the catastrophic impacts of floods in Kerala. So thank you very much, Professor Khushwaha, and we are proud of you. Next, I welcome this young, dynamic medical geographer, Shikha Dixit. She's going to talk today about conceptualizing place, space, and their relevance in decision making. Shikha is currently working as a Deputy Director in Environmental Health and Geospatial Science at the Incline Trust International Health Research Organization based at Delhi. She's PhD in Medical Geography from University of Allahabad under the avid supervision of Professor Mishra. With the capacity of a trained medical geographer, she has successfully contributed in several of the health research projects till date. She has already led 2 projects as a principal investigator, of which one project is successfully completed and another is ongoing. She brings in the rich experience of applied geography through her illuminous career of approximately 17 years in the field of health research and development. Welcome, Shikha. And I definitely feel very happy that you could spare time and amidst your busy assignments that you're practically having. Thank you very much. And she's also the recipient of prestigious Professor R.N. Dubey Memorial Gold Medal during a post-graduation course. So they're the brightest of the brightest people who I'm introducing to you all. She's also leading Incline's Soma demographic development and environmental surveillance activities and established such as Palwal, Bareilly, and East Khasi district, Meghalaya. And her interest lies in the dynamic geographies of health heterogeneity using participatory geospatial tools and taking these perspectives within the health planning and implementation. She's going to talk about something which you all should see. It looks like so much that you all can also make use of these methodology in making a difference. Thank you, Shikha. Then we have Soma, my first PhD student. She's going to talk about spatial multi-criteria decision analysis. She's an assistant professor at Indraprastha University College for Women and is an enthusiastic geographer whose research interest areas are climate change and disasters, regional planning, and advanced geospatial technologies. She has several international publications in high impact journals like Environmental Modeling and Software, GeoCarto International, Natural Hazards, etc. to her credits. And she has also worked as a geospatial consultant under DST Climate Change Project at National Institute of Malaria Research, Delhi. Welcome, Soma. And as always, I'm so proud of you that you have made a presentation to show it to these faculty members that it's just not that just one variable you should take, but you can do complicated decision-making action framework plan you can make just being a geographer. And that's something which she shows in this thing. And here is one person who I definitely want you to learn from. He is Khusro Moin, my young colleague from Kirurimal College. And he's going to demonstrate that how easy it is to download QGIS and to capture spatial data, to store spatial data, to retrieve and to transform and to analyze and to digitize and to georeference and further to analyze that and also, to display data on that. Of course, in such a short span, he could not demonstrate much. But with this, none of you, no one, the ones who are present, can say that we do not have a software. Khusro is an associate professor, as I shared with you, from Kirurimal College, and he also studied from Kirurimal College. He was my student at graduation. And I'm so proud of him. He has authored several papers in reputed international journals, along with few chapters in books. He's an enthusiastic teacher and keen learner, and is always ready to learn new things in academics and other spheres of well. I have a lot of regard for this young boy, and I know that he'll go places. But right now, what I want you all to understand that how easy it is to use GIS with QGIS. And you can have, sample from the topo sheet or from any map that you have, and then further you can, you know, georeference, and you can create your own maps, and then you can make your own choroplates and go ahead and do it. Last speaker for today is Shekhar Verma. Just few 4-5 minutes, he's going to tell you about how you know, people from literary world, the literary geography also are the ones who make use of places, locations. And that's something which he has told us today through a novel, Let the Great World Spin, which tells about the daring wire walk between the Twin Towers. He talks about space and time management. He talks about all those processes that make a difference, you know, to that particular space, where any decision making of any level, micro level, meso level, or macro level, have to take place. Thank you very much, Shekhar. And of course, I am Seema Mehra Parihar, who you know by now. And so I welcome you all, and I am so happy, and I think so that today you're going to understand, and you're going to see that, you know, it's not easy to say that I cannot do it. Why? Because I have shown you, with the help of these young people, that today, when everybody else is using GIS software, why are you not using it? And that's something what I've tried to tell you. You have open source software, and of course, you have proprietary source software. Yesterday, Jack is the one who is a mega president of S3. But at the same time, for your all small work, you can make use of open source software, what Khusro is saying. Welcome all. Make use of remote sensing data, make use of GIS software, and make a difference to the analytics that you do in searching answers to all your problems or the objectives that you have given to the research. I welcome you all, and I'm so proud that you all have survived these 14 days. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And give me a promise that you will make use of GIS software.
A very good evening to all the esteemed geographer community. It's a manner of great honor for me to be communicating with you my thoughts on how the geographers are very important to India's geospatial story. Well, as you all are aware, geospatial is all about location. Every fundamental activity that do is associated with a location, and that's how the word geospatial becomes very, very important and inherent to our human existence. And for all practical purposes, as I see, the geospatial is born from geography. I remember my days as a student of geography way back in my class 6th, 7th. There was a very inspiring teacher I had, Mrs. Paula Banerjee, who worked hard to give us a very, very practical understanding of how geography could be applied in real lives. And with that, the impressions that I carried at that time and the learnings that I carried were with me and are with me till today. Whether it was in my India exam, which is supposed to be one of the 10 toughest exams in the world, to my applying them during my training at the National Defense Academy, to my career as a fighter pilot, where we went through the most treacherous terrains that one could probably experience, and the variability and the diversity of the same, to policy making at national level when I was in my tenure in the National Security Council, to my stint at the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and now as the Director of Indian Space Association. Geography has not left me. In fact, I feel even much more deeply connected to the field of geography. And that's where it becomes very important for me to communicate to you that you are the real treasures, the story of the world as well as for India. For reasons that may be beyond the scope of this lecture today, I find that the geography teachers have let go their claim on the field of geospatial and left it to those who design softwares and hardwares and applications. And somehow that entire agenda of geospatial has been hijacked by those who do not understand geography many times. They're electronic coders who, with certain algorithms, have tried to model what we do in geography. Well, why is geography so important? I feel that geography is one field which connects us to every dimension of human activity in 5 dimensions. You will be very intrigued to know what are those 5 dimensions. Well, whatever we do has a context of location, time, as well as context, as I said. So effectively, when we translate it into a much more deeper sense, it could be your actions in X, Y, Z axis. That means the latitude, longitude, elevation, and thereafter the context of time, and thereafter the context itself, which could be n and unlimited, which means I could be talking about the place where I'm sitting and what has happened here in the last 5,000 years. And there's a history attached to it. And there would be an economy attached to this place. And there would be some kind of a politics attached to this place. So it is some engineering associated with it. Some people would have built houses on this place over a period of time. Hence, it's very important, my dear friends, that we take charge of this geography that we have been studying, the study of the earth, the study of physical features, the maps, because they deal with our daily lives. And as teachers, it's very important that you inspire your students and give them that practical training with which they can apply it to their real lives and make their lives easier. For example, I feel that geography makes ease of business really easy because it allows them to study how the real life is associated with how things are spatially arranged around them, what kind of terrain they do, the climatic conditions that are prevailing in this area, how do they manage the logistics of that, how do they manage the time sense with that, how do they ensure that they are more efficient in reaching a certain place than navigation, how do they perceive that place to be. For example, if tomorrow somebody says that, okay, I want to go to Sarojini Nagar and I want to be doing some kind of a shopping, and the moment I say shopping, depending on who is perceiving that shopping in what manner, it could be which are the shops I'm going to go to, what are the layers of information in terms of what are the products that I want to have, and which are the shops which you went to last time, and how does it relate to that, and which are the products I will be buying, and depending on the pricing. So there is economics involved, there is a location involved, there is some navigation because I need to walk minimum amount of steps. Where should I park my vehicle? To where I should be probably putting where the parking charges are minimum, and how when I finish my shopping and I'm tired, and where should I be going and eating and having a cup of coffee, and thereafter by which route should I be going and sitting in my vehicle. And how then, and it'll be going on in my mind that how this process could have been much more simpler. I wish these guys had made this parking in this way. How this place could be cleaner, because the cleaning trucks could have come inside and it could have been done in a more mechanical manner. The applications, what I want to bring out, are limitless. What's more important is that how much you are able to trigger your mind and you are able to think of the limitless possibilities that can be undertaken by bringing different types of information from different sources, arrange them in an intelligent manner, and then use it for design. You actually all are doing that in real life. It's not only about contours, it's not only about the classical geography lessons that we learned, but geography is much more. It is related to real life. It allows us to connect with the practices that we do in our present day with respect to what's happened before. And that's how the teachers can really bring a lot of value addition in a student's life by making him capable of a very, very strong decision support capability, by inculcating him the sense of space, time, context with relation to what he sees around him, how he correlates with them, how he communicates with the ecology around him, how he communicates with the people around him in terms of human geography, in terms of physical geography, and how he uses it or she uses it, to be gender neutral, sorry, and make life simple for him, for the people he knows, and for enabling people around him or her. I think as technology is moving fast, we are talking about fourth industrial revolution technologies. Whatever we may do, the most important thing that is happening is that technology either is being created, deployed, thought about somewhere, which has a relationship with geography. So whether it's a business solution and where is he going to apply that business solution, or how is he going to make it work, how is he going to execute it, where is he going to locate its storehouses, warehouses, it has a geographical connect. So when there's something so important that is inherent to our lives, isn't it important that we pay some more attention to it, make it more interesting, so that the students who pass out from you remember you for these lessons which I learned when I was a student. Technology enables us today to visualize our ideas into a real world by creating digital twins. There are a lot of simulation techniques applied, reality, mixed reality, artificial intelligence. There's a lot of technology that is floating around. Sometimes I run out of even the jargon that comes to my mind to relate to each of these developments. How does it relate to geography? And how these things can be correlated to make life easier, to make businesses interesting? How can your students become entrepreneurs in what they do? How they can improve their quality of education? If they are preparing for this IAS exams or competitive exams like NDA, how do you study history as a function of geography? In fact, that is how I was able to score so well in my entrance exam, because the geography or the history that I learned way back in 92, I can even today rattle out a lot of things that I learned way back in 92 because of the geographical context. The understanding of the story of civilization, why things are happening today the way they are. They have a linkage with how we were 5,000 years back, and why this beautiful landmass of ours, the Indian subcontinent, was so peaceful and became the center of learning. We are known as the land of the gurus. Why was it happening here? It was because we were in peace with the environment. We did not have to fight for resources. We had water, we had greenery, we had natural vegetation. We had a fantastic weather in those days. And because we had everything, we could think, we could philosophically evolve ourselves. And that is why our civilization, irrespective of what kind of aberrations that have happened over a period of time, we've been like water. I find a very strong correlation between water and the Indian civilization. It's like you put different colors of ink. Yes, there is something that happens to this water, but effectively that dissolves in it. That means we have absorbed different cultures. At the same time, we have diluted a lot of the external influences that came and adopted some of theirs into us. So we are kind of an universal solvent. And if we study this, the study of this great solvent, which is the Indian culture, we will come to very interesting inferences. And many times I feel that there's something very inherent about Indian culture and national security, because what came from the West did not cross over to the East. It somehow got stuck, diluted, and got involved into your culture. It became more inclusive. And how it happened? When you start the path they came why Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Peshawar was the place where everything flew from. Why is that place so unstable today? It has a history right from Mahabharata days. So even if you get into the historical side, you will understand that why things happened at that time. The travelers, they came, how they kind of reported in India, the greatness of India. It has a connect with geography. Why were people able to access us? Why some people were not able to access us? And why people became interested in us? It all is a function of geography, by the way. How you had the invaders coming in, why they were so fascinated, because the geography of this place enabled that kind of a cultural growth, which they were alien to. They came here, they ravaged us, they went back, but we still rebuilt ourselves. So there's something about the DNA of this place, which again has a geographical context. So when you start getting into science, daily life, how we deal with the challenges, no civilization is perfect, but I think we are fairly evolved. And that is why the Indians are able to do so well anywhere they place to. Because there's something very interesting about the genome or the DNA of this area, which again comes from the geography where it has sustained for thousands of years. If we see in the world of science, it is Indians who are embedded everywhere in global companies. How they have reached there, which are the places they studied, what was so interesting about that place. Why is it that the people who emerge from those places reach a certain place? That itself is a study by itself, and there's a linkage to geography to it. So in effect, what I want to bring out to you, ladies and gentlemen, is there's a big responsibility on you. Because to grow ahead, it's very important that geography is taken much more seriously, because geospatial technologies have become very, very important and inherent part of our growth. If you see globally, whether it is all the countries that are doing well today, economically, socioeconomically, are the ones which have developed capabilities to measure, monitor, analyze, manage, and predict their growth, their economy, their different aspects of the sustainable development goals, which we call the 17 SDGs, the capability to do that and handle these under those 5-6 aspects that I just mentioned in a professional manner. Countries which do not have that ability to use geospatial technology effectively are the ones which are lagging behind, because they are not able to understand what's really happening in the country. And because they're not able to do that much more wisely than others can do, so it leads to inappropriate utilization of resources, duplication, corruption, poor return of investments. So it's very important that we grow as a strong geospatial power and add significant amount of wealth to our GDP by taking efficient decisions which are location based, which allow us to cut down our costs, which allow us to become, say, much more efficient, which allow us to leverage our natural resources in a much more sustainable manner, which allow us to understand our ecology and geography, our environment around us in a much more efficient manner, so that we learn to coexist in a much more refined manner than we already are doing today. Traditionally, this was an ignored subject, and because of various reasons why we didn't have maps of that good quality, and I mean, there are policy reasons why geospatial was not very, very encouraged in this country before, or even if it was, we had limitations in terms of resource, in their availability, and there were policy restrictions because of which the way we should have grown, we did not. But today, the geospatial guidelines which have come from the government of India and the draft geospatial policy, especially para 6, is very, very relevant to education. That is the geospatial education. And if some of you would have read the MHRD report of 2013, which talks about geospatial education, I think there are huge amount of opportunities. And it's very important that you as instructors go through them yourselves and see how that geospatial domain can be better leveraged, what you need to do first to upgrade yourselves. Yes, while some of you would be evolved, but many of you may need to upgrade yourselves. So it's very important that you ignite that fire inside you as to how you can become a role model, technologically updated and situationally aware of how things are happening around you, and make this subject interesting so that the students who pass out from you, from under your guidance rather, capture that, get inspired to do that. And thereafter, when they go to the workplaces, whether it is in terms of management, whether it is in terms of law, whether it is in any subject that you talk about, from engineering to even selling something somewhere, there is a connect of geography and there is a connect of geospatial technology there, geospatial sciences. So it's very important. You play a very, very important role because India today is at the launch pad of a lot of liberalization, which India had never seen before, especially in terms of how you can create data within this country. You can get data from various places, convert that data into actionable insights, which thereafter can allow people to do something interesting with their businesses, something very, very interesting with even their learning and the visualization of things. I see the possibilities are very, very limitless. What's important is that you as leaders are able to spin the minds of the students into a direction where they feel enthused and do something disruptive. And from their success, you get your success. Remember, when we mentor people, when we give guidance, it's not important that you become great. I measure the success of a teacher by seeing how many students who passed under a teacher became great, because that is the measure of the quality of the education that you bring to the table. And you do not have to claim that, yes, I have done this. If you are good, if you are fired enough and you've been able to communicate to the students will talk about you, the ecosystem will talk about you. So it's a battle of influence, but in a manner in which the journey makes your students more capable than what you are or you could have. Yes, it's important to be great. It's important to be well-read. It's important to write papers. But remember, do not seek glory. If you do great deeds, your students and the ecosystem will automatically take you to glory. And I feel that it's very important to give back to the society. That is the role of a teacher. That's how I have seen my teachers. And trust me, when I speak this, I do it indeed because I'm still connected to the teachers who taught me in class 3, 4, 5, 6. I write letters to them. Thanks to various social media and especially instant messenger technologies, I remain connected till date on a daily basis. I communicate with them as well as I do to the students who pass out from the same school. So I'm connected to almost the entire generation since maybe 1983 with my schools, and I visit my school and just to inculcate a sense of competition and some kind of innovation, I've started a rolling trophy. It's a very simple, it's not very costly. It just cost me about a few thousand rupees, but it's given every year to the students. And that is what has ignited their minds. And now they look forward to doing something interesting. So can you do something in your schools in the field of geography? I think I suppose that we are about 60 teachers here. So 60 teachers in 60 schools, imagine it's a great movement to start with. There's something you do about geography. And you got a much more brilliant mind because you read geography on a daily basis. You teach geography on a daily basis. Your concepts are very clear. In my case, things are withered down, but I've been more into the application of geography. In fact, I still remember my days as a fighter pilot where we literally slept on maps because a good understanding of geography was a lifeline to me. Some of the worst accidents I saw, somebody did not make the good maps. Again, a wrong application. or inadequate application of geography to make maps. And because of them, we lost precious lives and thousands of crores. And that can be an impact to the nation. If somebody doesn't do his or her job properly by putting the right parameters into the maps. So it's very important that you bring quality in your students, you bring standards in your students, and you inspire them to adopt the best standards that are available, and that habit of inculcating and creating professional databases wherever they go, which are professionally managed, regularly updated, and follow standards. Because what's happens is that gone are the days where it was I, me, myself. Today is the time when we have to talk about interoperability. We have to talk about 10 different people bringing their data together to do something better, Now, in that case, if you make your own data, the other guy makes his own data, and it's in his own standard, and you got a bigger project, you will have spent most of your time preparing your data, and you'll lose that window. But if you've done your homeworks correctly, amongst you have created databases in an interoperable manner that following the same standards, the same, say, base maps or satellite image maps, so that the moment you put your data together, it talks and it gives out some brilliant inferences. Today, it could be your project of person A, tomorrow it would be a project of person B. But if you collaborate, you do a brilliant job. So here is what I want to bring out, the power of collaboration. And trust me, it really works. So I'll give you a very interesting real life example. I run an online think tank called Kranti. Kranti stands for Knowledge, Resources, Analytics, Networks, Technology, Innovation, Integration. Now, what happened was, we all know during COVID times, there were huge challenges. And we got into action, and I was supported by about 400 students from Delhi University, all, say, girl students, mostly a few from RRU University, Ahmedabad. And we were supported by first year and second year students with whom we interacted. We gave them some training, and we directly kind of put them into action, supported by some veteran officers and some seniors we have in the group. And trust me, we worked round the clock, 3 months, day and night, continuous operations, sometimes forgetting our grief, and we saved human lives. And a very important factor in saving those human lives was the correct application of geography. You'll be surprised to know that. And I'll give you some insights into that. One, there used to be guys who used to be claiming that, oh, I've got a cylinder, मेरे पास cylinder है, आप फटाफट पैसे डालिए, मैं आपका cylinder लेके आता हूँ, आपको घर में बैठ के cylinder मिलेगा. So we did an interception of where this guy was sitting, and through some cyber techniques and location sciences, we plotted that this guy was actually sitting in Ara, but claiming to be sitting in Dwarka mode, wanting to do a home delivery if he gave him 50,000 bucks. Similarly, there were people who were offering this medicine of tocilizumab for 15 lakhs a dose. But with our ability, we were able to find out where this black is happening. We sent the police there, got people into action. At the same time, we were able to correctly locate where the real guys were, using again geospatial technology. And we supplied these medicines sometimes below MRP, or in some cases, even free of cost, via collaborative efforts. I still remember a case where there's a veteran officer, his father was very, very unwell, and through a human connect, we got the medicine in Bhilwara, and that guy drove overnight and delivered that medicine in Indore free of cost. That is the power of humanity, and that's the power of collaborative work for the benefit of humanity. There were times when we have moved pregnant women with SpO2 30, 40, dropping 25, and brought them safely to Delhi and made the babies deliver. And in the entire route, we had every hospital after every 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers standing by, again by study of geography, and which is the hospital which will be most accessible. How are this thing, study of satellite imagery to understand how that ambulance can get into the route, and following it every 10-minute interval to ensure that the lady was safe. Her parameters were monitored continuously by 2 doctors and our entire team of over 30 volunteers through the night. Till that time, that person, they went to a hospital of their choice, they didn't like it, then they went to another hospital which played games with them. They did not. And finally, it came that the lady only had 20 minutes of oxygen. The alternate was 31 minutes away. And again, we did some intelligent planning, and a group was really active where we put some standby ambulances on the way so that even the oxygen, if it went off, the interception was done at the right place and oxygen was put so that the lady could survive. Gladly, the team worked. So it was a team effort of Kranti that the lady safely reached the hospital. The doctor was waiting at the gate. The moment the door opened, the oxygen was put on. It was a drive of a lifetime. With me, I was there because I saw that lady in pain and we got that operation done. The lady delivered a baby girl that night. That was mission successful. It's sad that a few days later we lost the mother for some other complications. But that day we saved. Like that, there were many instances where we were very successful in doing tactical navigation, understanding the science of oxygen, the challenge of oxygen, and how do you manage that. Going to one hospital, they're rejecting you, moving to the other hospital, being on the way, diverted to somebody else because oxygen is not there. Where will be the oxygen? Where will be the next person standing? Networking in real time. I'm sure many of you understand what was happening in Delhi that time. But we managed it as a team. That means there were different people who initially couldn't figure out, but when they got a hang of it, they were working with clockwork precision. We were busting cases in real time, which means that when we were calling for ambulances, the ambulance one, say 1 hour away, coming from Batra Hospital, and there was another ambulance which was claiming to be 5 minutes away, but was asking for a prepaid. And it was a decision dilemma at that time because the family was under chaos and they were kind of cracking up. The machine was overheating, the oxygen concentrator. So there were real life challenges that are happening. And then you're using real time mapping. If this guy is going to come this way, he's going to take so much of time. This guy is claiming to be here, asking him to share his real location and instantaneous location. Because something can be copied, the other thing cannot be copied. Correlating and finding out where is he lying, asking him to put on the camera, showing you the very amount of oxygen left in the gadi. At the same time, managing that guy, where is he coming from, where is he going to go, and then rejecting this guy because he was a fraud. And at the same time, the pressure, that machine going down, switching it off, taking that decision to switch off the machine for 2 minutes, let it cool, again come on with full power on, then reduce it to keep that guy alive. You know, it was real time. It was mayhem in real time. But what was important is the spatial sense. There was team which were checking in real time which hospital, where are the contingency 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where is the oxygen in terms of content availability at that flow rate, what will work, what will not work, which type of cylinders are giving a problem. Everything, that knowledge converted into maps. And not a stored map because nothing worked at that time. It had to be a fresh case every time. And it was executed. Why? Because people understood this, how to apply geography there, the geospatial technology there. There were cases where women attendants were hesitating to take their patient away to a hospital in the middle of the night. That person was at the literally deathbed. But their concern was how they will come back safely. Again, we use geospatial technology and the study of geography to understand how the routing should be done, how they will go there. And once the patient had been admitted to the hospital, first of all, which hospital, where the problem could be solved. So that means the mapping of the capability of the hospital, because it was not only COVID, but the people had different types of complications. So how do you do that and then ensure that after that had been done, the ladies were taken care of. So there was real-time tracking of the driver, the real-time tracking of the lady, till the time they reached their home at 2 o'clock in the night. And we were satisfied and they gave us that, yes, sir, all clear, we are back home safely. That is the time the teams used to take rest. Again, what I want to bring out to you is that it was thanks to the geography lessons that I had in my life, both in my school and thereafter in the National Defense Academy, and thereafter in a flying career, because in fighter flying, you cannot do away with geography because it's your bread and butter. And our days, they were the manual modes where we used to spend 7 to 8 hours making maps. And the maps were huge because you had to memorize 1200 nautical miles of your navigation in your head. And you used to be traveling something like 350 meters per second at treetop heights. So you had to and in real time look out for the birds, look out for the combat, because you do low level integrated combat flying and things like that. So you have to be very sure in your terms of your time and space who's going to come. You don't have to open up an RT. So everything is clockwork precision in your head. So this 3 kg here has great capability. You just need to push it to the next level, to the next level, and the next level. And trust me, I think I'm a very average person. More brilliant people like you are there who can do much better than what I can. I've just attempted to be a good learner, and I continue to slog to improve myself. What's important is you as teachers need to ensure that students like us learn much more and are able to apply things in a real world. That is very important. How do we apply geography in real world? That is the applied training that you need to give with live example to make geography interesting in your classes, so that your students come back to you and ask you 10 more questions. I think that is a measure that you've been able to enthuse your students. And that is what you need to do to ensure that capacity building, which is required, the foundational base for taking India into the next level because of the opening of the policy, is done in an effective, focused, and in a much more collaborative manner. It's very important. The power of collaboration using geography is very important for our collective growth and a shared future. I request all of you to please think through of good examples, make presentations, take out examples which will enthuse the children to read more, to discuss more, to ask more questions, to come out with interesting examples themselves, to question your logic, because the more you're questioned, the more you will get refined, and that is a measure of, yes, your students are learning with that enthusiasm, which is very, very important. Being passengers will not help. And God forbid, we cannot have passengers coming out of our educational institutions. We need to have students with passion, with fire to energize their lives, their professional lives with technology so that they can become leaders. If we look at some statistics, there's a study that I did in the year 2017 when I was looking at the youth employability and addressing youth aspiration as a function of national security. It was a very important aspect to study that how your demographic advantage or your demographic bulge becomes an advantage and not what should I say, a challenge for you to handle. And it should not become a demographic distress, which means that you had to do something about human beings. At that time, I'd done some statistics. They may have some variation today. I'm not very updated on that, but in my study at that time, I'd found that in the year 2020, we will have 34% of the population between 13 to 29 years of age. And with AI coming in, it's going to be a big challenge. Now, why is AI coming in? Why is so much of money being pumped? Yes, it has improved, it has made things more optimized. But it's very important to understand that the West is aging, Japan is aging, and so are these high technology countries. So they need to automate so that they remain efficient. There is much more lesser load on the people, and they are able to do much more with lesser population being effective. Whereas in India, we have the bulge taking place. Some people listen, some people don't want to listen because of various cultural and socioeconomic and ethnographic reasons. I do not want to get into that. But what is important is that we need to take cognizance of the fact that there's a huge amount of manpower that is building up here. which needs to become employable, which needs to do something to earn their living. And it's a real problem. And if we are able to enable these people to think spatially and think from a technological perspective and start their own businesses in a more efficient manner. For example, let's look at an example. Where should a hawker put his stall? That itself is a function of geography, by the way. Which are the junctions where he will have enough parking space? Where, when he's making his product, where will he get the best footfall? Under different conditions of rain, under heat, if people come and park, will he cause a traffic jam? Will the police wala come and ask him to run away from there? Or if he is able to put his stall in a way where people can come and park themselves and eat and let him earn his living, that itself is a function of geography and geospatial technology, by the way. It's happening something very, very naturally to him because he's understood the concept of time and space and generation of economic value out of that place. So you have to start thinking that way, thinking much more innovatively, why this guy is here, why this guy is doing this, why this guy is doing, and thereafter getting an understanding of it and then translating it as a science, as a concept to your students. I think that is what is more important. How do you become more secure? By using geospatial technology. How do you become rich? By applying geospatial technology. How do you communicate better? For example, when you go to a hotel and you're served by a waiter, how many times have you asked him, "Bhai, kidhar ka rehne wala hai? Acha, udhar ka hai, udhar ka kahan ka pada hai, kya hai?" In 1 second, you know what has been the journey of this guy. And before you leave, if you give him 2 tips as to how he can improve himself, कितने क्लास का पढ़ा है, कहाँ किया है, अच्छा तुम तो ये बहुत अच्छा काम करते हो, क्या तुम ऐसा कर सकते हो, वहां जाओगे तो तुमको वो अच्छा हो जाए. You triggered that guy's mind to take him and his thought process to a different level, which he can use to improve his life. Why should he remain a waiter all the time? If he's good in his job, why not enable him to open a business? Guide him. That scheme is on. You are very good in this. Take that money, set up a dhaba somewhere there. You will earn more. You'll become a master. You'll give a leave to yourself and you will give employment to 20 more people. That is the way you need to think about human beings you connect. Anywhere you go. Important is to upgrade that person that you connect to anytime. It's not just about being a teacher, going to a school and coming back. With due respect, I feel that teachers have a very important role in transforming the society. My mother has been a teacher. She's been a Sanskrit scholar, and she's writing a book these days on her journey as a army officer's wife. And I have tried to geospatially explain to her the geography of things, and today she has improved the quality of her writing. So how to get the element of geography in her literature writing. In fact, a lot of literature that has been written over a period of time has an important function of history and geography to it. So it's about how you process that and how you translate that into something which is much more relatable, much more easily consumable. On that note, I would like to now come to an end. I think it's about 1:12 a.m. and I'm still trying to give gyan to all of you. With all due humility and respect, I just want to bring out that I respect all teachers. I have a lot of faith in you all. I respect you all. And I wish to request you to please read the policies, the National Geospatial Policy, the draft remote sensing policy, the new education policy, and see how you can create opportunities out of it, how you can innovate out of it, how you can guide your students to innovate out of it, do projects which has more application so that they get practical knowledge of how to apply it. It may be possible that it's not given in the textbooks, so you can always look at YouTube videos. I'm also a very, very self-learned person. But what is important is that I always kept reading my mind and I kept questioning it. In fact, I used to be made a murga in the class because I also ask too many questions. That's fine. Because the quest for knowledge has to be there. That fire to do something disruptive has to be there. And it is you as teachers who has to ignite that fire in the minds of the people, the students around you, so that they do something which brings value to them, they bring value to the education that you've given them. When they become Mahan, it will be you and your callers that will go up that, yes, this guy I've taught him. Oh, this guy, yeah, I've again taught him. Anybody who's gone to under me has only reached the top of the world. That is a pride a teacher is supposed to have. And I think that is where I feel that teachers have a very important role in shaping the growth of the society. And yes, very important. It's very important to get rich in life, right? Everybody wants to get rich in life, but it's very important to teach them two things. First one is to be human first, to be sensitive to the other human first, to have empathy, and to ensure that the path they follow to get rich is honorable. They should get sleep in the night. When you do business or you choose partners or wherever you work in your teams, it's important to choose people with a like-minded value system, because interests in business will come and go, money will come and go. What will be more interest is the binding, and that binding will remain if you have a common value system. So teach these things while you teach technology, and we must remember that we live in India. Mother India is most important. That means the nation comes first, always and every time. And anything that we do has to align to a national interest. We can have diverse political thoughts. We can come from diverse cultures. We can have different approaches to it. But we must forget our differences when we look at national interest, and we should join hands to only serve the national interest, because if the nation is there, we are here. If the nation is not there, we are not there. So the nation comes first, always and every time. Jai Hind, God bless you all, and do something great. And I'll be very happy in case I can get associated with you in any manner, anywhere. I'm available on LinkedIn, and my number is 99101391336, and my email ID is satyam.dir.ispa@gmail.com. Please get in touch with me. I'll be most honored to be associated with you and see what, in my humble capacity, I can do for your students, or to help the teachers, the honorable teachers, do something much more for the nation. And if at all anyone of you are interested, please join us in Kranti. It's a pro bono voluntary effort to make India great and strengthen India's national interest. Jai Hind.
Namaskar to all the participants of refresher course on geography, geographers, and geospatial technologies. I'm Dr. Shikha Dixit. I'm a medical geographer. I thank Teaching Learning Center, Ramanujam College and Kirodimal College for providing me this opportunity to share my experiences and thoughts with all the young minds attending course today. So first question is, who is a medical geographer? I know most of you know that who is a medical geographer. A medical geographer studies spatial patterns of diseases, healthcare provision, and related health and developmental issues. And this is what I have been doing for the last 20 years. Today in this course, I will give an overview on what are the present challenges of community health and what are the expectations from geographers. Now let's start the first module. So community health, medical geography, and evidence building processes. What is community health? Community health, also known as community medicine, social preventive medicine, is basically concerns the health status of the members of the community, each and every member of the community, the problem affecting as a whole to that particular area or to that particular community, and the healthcare provided to those communities. Health is a basic human right. And as you know, in Sustainable Development Goal, second, health for all is one of the goal to achieve. Without geoliteracy, health for all is not possible. Okay? Geoliteracy describes the ability to reason about spatial phenomena working on the Earth system and their interconnections. So geoliteracy will play a very, very critical role when we will try or we will strive to achieve health for all. But unfortunately, in the current curricula of the public health or the community health undergraduation course, there is no inclusion of spatial sciences. There are multiple subjects are included in their curricula because they have to see health in a holistic manner, but spatial sciences are not covered till now. That is one of the big challenge. Aspects of community health. If you just check what all they need to do, they have to work with the environmental health issues, all the community health people. They have to work with the lifestyle issues. They work with the human biology because they are trained MBBS, so they have to work on that. And also the settings of health providers and health resources. And it is said that more than 80% data used in health have a spatial attributes, whether it is environment, you can see in this list, environment, lifestyle, socioeconomic condition we study in different areas, human biology, different kinds of traits, genetics, and health organization, the spatial distribution of the healthcare providers and also hospitals and facilities. Let me give you one example on geoliteracy. There was a malaria outbreak in Bareilly district in 2020, 18 and 19. And febrile cases, malaria cases were exponentially rising in the district. Therefore, local, state and national level task forces were formed. And it was really a very, very difficult situation in that particular area from the perspective of even the health managers and clinicians. We were working in the district, so we were called by the administration to support them. As a medical geographer in a team, the first approach I did was to map all the febrile cases happening during that particular time on a village map. So I prepared a village map showing all the febrile cases and just to check the clustering of the cases. And we have got a cluster or a band of areas. This, like you can see this dots, the larger dots, this area having more than 60% cases of the entire Bareilly district. So this was a wonderful hidden information which we have just explored, and we have shared with the local administrators so that they can focus their intervention in this particular area. They don't have to worry for other parts, but their major effort should go in these areas, some of the villages. Only, you can say 20% of the entire district villages required more attention. Now at the second step, what we have done, we know that malaria spreads by the vectors. Mosquitoes basically spread malaria, and mosquito habitation is the low-lying areas with the water bodies. So we have plotted, we have overlaid all these dot maps, case maps on a slope map of the district. And this is the pattern which has emerged. So this red area, this is higher slope area, and this is the blue area is the low-lying area of Ramganga River. So Ramganga River flows in this area. This act as a basin. And further, when we investigated, we have also got to know that this area gets a lot of migrants from the nearby Badayu area. Okay. So this is the Badayu district, and it gets lots of migrant workers in this particular area. And this is majorly, this is a Avla block of Bareilly district. Now, further, when we looked this matter, just to see the other socioeconomic factors which are affecting this area, we have got to know that Badayu is an endemic for falciparum malaria. It is poverty striking area. And Ramganga Basin has a lots of brick kilns. So they create lot of pools of water in this area because of this activity. So this activity has to be either stopped for the malaria period, or we need to check this activity, that there should be no collection of water in this area. So these are some of the reasons which were promoting malaria in this area. And if government can work on this, stopping all these reasons, then only malaria can be checked. So all these findings were shared with the local administration, and they have utilized all these things, and they have next year there was no problem of malaria because they were very, very alert on all these aspects. So this is the one example of geoliteracy. With geoliteracy, you can solve a lot of problems, especially in the health sector. I'm so sorry, my throat is not good. So historically, if we see, keeping place in the health research and in treatment is not new. Charak Samhita, the ancient medical literature, which was written 100 years BC, indicate that place has a critical role in ascertaining the disease causation. It also states that Desha, which is the Sanskrit name of place, is one of the factors which have to be assessed in ascertaining the hetu, the etiology, and also in deciding the treatment. So Desha, or the place, has got a very, very important role in our ancient literatures also. Characteristics of places may be as important as characteristics of the people for an understanding of particular pattern of health. So you will see that most of the researchers, they are working a lot on characteristics of the individuals, like gender, age, class. They study all these aspects, why it is happening in this particular area. But many a times, place get missed out in this analysis, which is equally important in doing all these health researches. So it is said that not only do places differ, but place makes a difference. Then it comes in the modern era, there is a very famous John Snow's map of cholera. Very, very famous map published by Dr. John Snow. He was a British, he was a physician, and he actually mapped the cholera cases first time. He has, in the modern era, he has used map in the mapping of the diseases. And he mapped all the cholera cases in the Britain, which were, there was an outbreak in 1950s. And what he got to know that these are basically due to the adulterated water in some of the wells, which was distributed to some localities, Soho localities. So because of that, this disease was spreading in this particular area. And once those wells were stopped, this problem of cholera got reduced. So this is very, very famous John Snow's map. And this is how researchers from the ancient time, they are connecting places with the diseases. Now, medical researchers are in progress. Who, what, how, or of diseases are regularly, they are being studied, researched. So what is the full spectrum of disease? It is a mild disease, severe disease, fatal disease. You will get all this information very, very quickly because lots of people are engaged in such kind of research. What factors promote viral transmission? Who are the infectors? Who are the at risk of health, poor outcomes? All these issues are being studied. But if I see from the perspective of space, all these are relative. Okay, so who are the infectors? Like vectors, they have different habitations in different geographies. So we need to study those areas also. We need to connect infectors with the locals or with the geography. So I say that all these factors are relative and often dependent on where or the place. Now, government at different levels are investing on mapping exercises. In recent time, we have seen that maps are very, very frequently, they are used for showing the location of the this COVID-19 and also other diseases. Lots of efforts are being made on mapping the outcome of diseases. Okay. But knowing where, okay, gives us more insights on spatial heterogeneity of the cases, clustering of the cases, like I showed in malaria study, spatial prevention and control measures, spatial distribution of the resources. All these are hidden in the place. And most of our efforts are not only on the mapping of the outcome. Now, in the next level, we need to utilize geographical understanding in finding out the causation, why problems are occurring or reoccurring in a particular area. That is very much important to study. For disease prediction, resource planning, resource rationalization, preparedness for medical emergencies, it is important to keep place or space in the center of our analysis. These are some of the areas where we need to work more and demonstrate the utility of the geographical tools and techniques so that our perspective can be included in mainstream thinking and decision making. When we focus on knowing the where, we come to know about all these aspects: heterogeneity, distribution, distance, density. Okay. All these actually get revealed. Now, challenge which we as a geographer have, is how to accurately model the complex morphology of a space. Every inch of the earth is different in terms of their locations and characteristics. So you can see some of the pictures from my camera giving idea about this diversity. These are pictures from my field work. So do we geographers know the technique through which we can simplify these heterogeneity and give some kind of generalization to the space where we live and we work? Actually, we are trained for this thing. We are making maps from geographers are making maps from ancient times, okay, since ages, you can say. And what we are doing, we are converting or we are modeling this earth, ellipsoid earth, you can say, on a piece of a paper. So we are transferring all the earth phenomena or daily phenomena on a piece of paper. So we know how to do generalization. And this is what we are doing. And this is the actually demand of the time. How to objectively capture earth phenomena accurately and in a faster manner. So GIS and remote sensing now comes into the picture. They are introduced in 20th century, and these are wonderful tools and make our job little easier in terms of representation of large areas with higher accuracy and in less time. So earth phenomena are converted into three geometrical features in GIS: point, line, and polygon. We all know this. So you can see this is the real world in the base, and now all these aspects are converted into different geographies. Like plots or buildings are converted into polygons. They are captured into as a polygon. Roads, water bodies, rivers, rivulets are converted into the line features. Landmarks are converted into the point features. Vegetations are captured in form of raster pictures like pixel values. So, and they are all big. They are converted into separate layers. They can be easily integrated into single layer, okay, using the locational identifiers. So this is the beauty of GIS and geospatial technologies. I will stop at this slide. We will see the basic steps for creation of geospatial data in the next module. Thank you very much for your attention.
Namaskar everyone. I am Dr. Soma Sarkar, Assistant Professor at Indraprastha College for Women, University of Delhi. Today I am going to discuss with you the spatial multi-criteria decision analysis. Decision making is an important part of our life. It is a process of selecting a possible course of action from all the available alternatives. Most of the time, we have to consider more than one criteria to come to the final solution. Like when we want to buy a dress, we have a lot of criteria related to color, design, material, texture, budget, and so on in our mind, right? So, out of 4 or 5 dresses, whichever dress meets our criteria best, we buy that. Thus, multi-criteria decision analysis is a method to support decision making by exploring the balance between the pros and cons of different alternatives to accomplish a specific goal. Now, the question is how we geographers fit into MCDA. Geographers' long-standing concern with the evolving spatial organization and material character of the Earth's surface is of great relevance to decision makers in both private and the public sectors. Whether the issue at hand is the location of a new public facility or the development of a stream restoration project as a part of watershed management, decision makers must consider such geographic matters like location, the relationship between the processes at different scales, and the changing character of the particular environment and landscapes. As such, geographic expertise can be of great importance in helping organizations and individuals operate more efficiently and make better informed decisions. Given the complex nature of spatial decision-making processes, incorporation of geographical knowledge from developing evaluation criteria to weighting estimations using geospatial tools may generate a solution close to community preferences. Therefore, to understand it in a better way, we need to have a clarity about the decision theory. So, decision theory is concerned with the reasoning uh, underlying an individual's or a group of individual or the society's choices. Thus, it can be like a very ordinary individual's choice about taking the bus or getting a cab, or a more far-reaching complex choice about whether to construct a canal to facilitate irrigation. The outcomes of decision making depends on systematic and rational determination of criteria or factors. Now, this decision theory comes in 2 forms. Descriptive decision making theory is about how we use some models to understand how people take decisions, right? So, what are the underlying factors that are affecting the decisions? The second one is normative or prescriptive one. It is concerned with identifying the best decision to take, assuming an ideal decision maker who is fully informed, able to compute with perfect accuracy, and fully rational. This incorporates value judgments about what particular policy action ought to be recommended to achieve a desired goal. So it's like what ought to be done within the application of a certain standard for optimal result. Most of the decision theory, we should remember that work on these normative principles. Now, we have got certain very essential components or ingredients to the decision theory. The first component is the agents. They are those who are making or who are having the objectives or making the decisions. Now, how they are making these decisions? They are making those decisions on the basis of certain values, certain ideas, and having certain objectives, that is what they want to achieve, right? So we have agents as one important component, and we have values, that is what is their objective, why they are trying to bring certain thing under consensus. Next is the decision alternatives, that is we have to make choices between certain number of alternatives. Like as I give the example, we have got 4 or 5 dresses and I have to select one dress which is having the optimal quality or optimal value for money, right? So in that sense, we have to make the decision alternatives, we have to make choices between the things. Following this, we have got uncertainties in the outcome of these alternatives, and these are the consequences of the decisions we take, because whatever we are doing on the basis of our on our existing knowledge base and so on, expertise is ideas and experiences, so on, but there will be certain amount of uncertainties, and that means the consequences of implementations of these theories are dependent upon our decisions that we are taking. And that brings us to an idea of what is a good decision. With this, now let us try to understand that how decision making is being taking place at the optimum limit. But we have to understand that optimal decisions do take place under certain constraints, because everybody wants to choose the optimal decisions. So now let us have a situation where we want to work for the proportion of agricultural land in the x-axis, as you can see, that we want to irrigate for optimal food production. Now you can see this curve, and within this curve we have a point which is called the optimal amount of crop production per hectare. But there can be limitations of area that can be irrigated, right? So like we have got certain type of constraints, like the entire field cannot be irrigated because of certain constraints, like in terms of distance from the canal, or in terms of the uh, physical barriers or something like that. That means the entire area may not be uh, available for irrigation or for agriculture purpose. So we get a not optimal, but have an optimal under constraints. So in real life, we have got many constraints, right? Now what is these constraints? As I said, a constraint which is sometimes also called the admissibility criteria represents the natural or artificial restrictions on the potential alternatives. Constraints are often used in the pre-analysis steps to divide alternatives in two criteria or categories, like acceptable and the unacceptable. So the alternatives would be to choose from the different alternatives. Thus, in this case, let us have two alternatives where we can have as alternative 1 as A, where we are taking the 25% of the land which are of high productivity, and there is alternative B, where we are taking the entire land available for the irrigation facility for productions, whatever be its production capacity or the productivity. So out of these, we can make the choices. So this kind of decision problems with distinguished set of alternatives is what we often call as MCDA, or the multi-criteria decision analysis. One of the most used MCDA is TOPSIS, right, which is a very good and useful tool. Now, when we are looking into FCDA, we have to understand that MCDA is a very much structured decision making system. It is a very much systematic, rational, organized method of making the decision. And of course, since it is made up of a number of components, there are internal assessment that is being done to come to a final conclusions. Evidences are collected, the criteria are formulated, the weightages are given, so evidence synthesis is being done. Then we take the decision analysis. Some of the analysis can also be done with respect to the risk analysis, which are more complex in the MCDA. We will discuss that part too. So if we look at the benefits of MCDA, there are immense. So it is like provides meaningful or logical framework for planning, support value-based, and support synthesis of information and help to identify data gaps and uncertainties and many more, as you can see. And they are being immensely applied in a number of places, like it is being applied with respect to the resource allocation plan and scenario evaluation, site search and selection, land suitability problems in the domain of environmental planning and ecology management, in the domain of transportation, mainly with respect to the vehicular movement and so on, then urban and regional planning, right? Then in hydrology and water resource management, forestry, agriculture, natural hazard management, healthcare resources allocation, housing and real estate, for recreations and many more. So it has got many more applications that has been available right now. So now, after getting the idea about what is multi-criteria decision analysis, what is its benefits, what is its application, now let us see that what are the steps of creating the MCDA. Now, as you can see in this, we need a group of people. Of course, individuals can also make the decision MCDA analysis, but it is always suggested to that to come to a final conclusion for a certain complex situations, we need a group of stakeholders to sit together. So now, how this is going to happen? So once these stakeholders are there, they are mind-boggling, they are working on the issues. So the first thing will be the problem identification. So they have to identify the problem, they have to formulate the problem. So once the problem has been identified, so now with the problem identifications, now they can have certain objectives to develop or to get the decision analysis done. With that, they have to identify or establish the decision criteria. So with this, they are identifying the criteria from a great number of factors, which they can be of physical, environmental, and socio-economic in nature. With this, we come to the weighing the decision criteria, which is about the value judgment on relative importance of the criteria. And this brings us to generating the alternatives, where we are applying and identifying and applying the decision making techniques, and we are trying to identify which is the best alternative for us, right? So we are evaluating, with that we are evaluating the alternative, so we are determining the performance of the alternate criterias and see which is the best possible solutions. And once we get it, we select the final alternative which we term it as the best one. Now let us move on to the spatial multi-criteria decision analysis. That is, we have seen that multi-criteria decision analysis is happening, but how we are incorporating it within the domain of spatial analysis. So, spatial multi-criteria analysis refers to the application of the knowledge of multi-criteria analysis in spatial context, where alternatives, criteria, and other elements of the decision problem have explicit spatial dimensions. And it is not something very new concept, right? Because it's there since late 1980s that MCDA has been coupled with the geographical information system, that is GIS, to enhance spatial multi-criteria decision making. Thus, the GIS-based multi-criteria decision making is a process that transforms and combines the geographical data, that is our map criteria, and the value judgment. So what are these value judgments? These are the decision makers' preferences and choices and the uncertainties within it. So it is about the combining the geographical data and the value judgments to obtain appropriate and useful information for decision making. Thus, it assists in framing decision problems, then illustrating the performance of the alternatives across criteria, exploring trade-off, formulating a decision, and testing its robustness. So, MCDA framework. So, in the MCDA framework, the GIS techniques facilitate treatment and analysis of spatial data and make easy the visualization, interpretation, and evaluation of the result. Therefore, a spatial decision analysis system or the alternative may consist of two elements, that is the action, that is what to do, and the location, that is where to do these things. And regarding how these things have evolved over time, we can see that one of the paper by Malskilsky in 2006, he did a study and he did a literature review, and he found that between 1990 and 2004, there were 319 papers that were devoted to GIS-based multi-criteria analysis. And a recent study suggests that this count has increased to nearly 2,000 post 1990. So we can see that how spatial multi-criteria decision analysis have become an important tool in the hands of planners, geographers, and others to do the spatial analysis in a much better, easier, and accurate way. So now let us see the structure of GIS. So under the structure of GIS, we have the GIS MCDA. We have objective 1 and objective 2. On the basis of these two, we have got certain criteria. So it's like we have got the criteria of and the attributes for objective 1 and for objective 2. And then we have to do the standardizations, and so on. So a set of spatial decision alternatives may be discrete or continuous. If the problem involves the discrete set of predefined alternatives, the spatial alternatives are then molded through one or a combination of basic spatial alternatives. So like I can see that objective 1 and objective 2 are made up of certain criteria. Those criteria can be made out of the point line polygon, that is the vectors, or they can be worked upon within the raster data, right? So it can be a discrete data or it can be a continuous data. So the first one, that is in terms of the discrete one, we have got a predefined decision alternatives. But for the second case, that is for the continuous one, which corresponds to a high or infinite number of decision alternatives, often defined in terms of the constraints. So for practical reason, the set of potential alternatives are often represented in a discretized form, where each raster represents an alternative. Alternative are mainly constructed as a collection of raster data sets. So as you can see, these criteria 1, 2, 3, these criteria attributes are the various raster layers, that is the information is imbibed within these raster layers. Now we have to remember one very important thing, that is in the spatial context, evaluation criteria are associated with geographical entities and relationship between the entities, and can be represented in the form of maps, right? So each raster is representing one criteria, one component in the form of map. But one should distinguish a simple map from the criterion map that we are generating here, because a criterion map model, the preferences of decision makers concerning a particular concept is more, while in a simple map layer, it represents some spatial real data. So a criterion map represents subjective preferential information, right? It is not something data, spatial real data that is being, instead it is showing the subjective preferential information that has been allocated by the agent or the decision maker. So the two different person may assign different values to the same mapping unit in a criterion map. So we have to remember that. So with that, we have the next step is the standardization. As you can see that since these criteria are being taken from various different domains, for various different domains, so their unit, their mapping unit or their data representations can vary. Like we are using the climate data, we are using the temperature data, which is in degrees Celsius, we are using the humidity data in percentage, we are using the soil data. So we have got the so the evaluation of these alternatives may be expressed according to different scales. So it can be an ordinal one, it can be an interval one, and it can be a ratio one. So we can have the data from representing temperature, humidity, soil, then elevation, then slope, then aspect, then land use, land cover of a region. So all they have different scales in terms and the different measuring units, right? So we need a standardization technique. So however, a large number of multi-criteria methods, including practically all the utility fraction-based method, require that all the criteria are expressed in a similar scale. So we cannot take all these in a different scale. We have to convert them, we have to standardize them in a similar scale. So the standardizing the criteria permits the rescaling of all the evaluation dimensions between the same range. Like we can divide the range into 0 to 5, and where the 5 is the best score and 1 is the worst score, and 0 represent the value ruled out from the evaluation. So that is the constraint, we have ruled out that particular value from the evaluation. So that means now when we have standardized all the criteria between a value of 0 to 5, now this method allows us between and within criteria comparison. So for between and within criteria comparison, we have to conduct the method of standardization. With that, we have we can see the third step is the weighing, that we are allocating certain weightage to these various criteria that we have taken, right? So one of the among the several available rank based weighting methods like Electra, then porometry, the most applied one is the pair-wise comparison method called the analytical hierarchical process, which has been denoted as AHP over here. This method was developed by Sati in 1977, and the comparisons in AHP are based on the relative importance of each pair of criteria on the fundamental 9-point scale. So, and since it is very much easier that way for the expert group to actually come by giving the relative importance to different pairs and accordingly take out the values or the weightage, identify the weightage. Now, after that, once all the layers have been identified, created, standardized, and the weightage has been given, now we need a method for aggregation of these data, which is called the compensatory aggregation. So, so among the several methods which is available to aggregate compensatory factors, like some of the most common used are the Boolean logic overlay or the simple additive weighing system or the ordered weighted average method and so on. The most applied one is the weighted linear combination. So that's why you can see here it is WLC, which means the weighted linear combinations, which is multiplying each standard criteria layer by its weight and adding up the result to produce the single map. So you can find that this single map is the suitability map that we have presented here. But of course, we have an important step to do here also, that is the sensitivity analysis. So once the map is available, we have to validate the map. So the validation part is very much important. That is, we have to collect either the data from the primary survey or the secondary survey from the expert knowledge or something, and then we have to see whether the final output after the MCDA is actually meeting the community requirements or not, or the requirements of the place or not. So that's why the validation of the generated output is very important. So now let us see how these alternative decisions and the multi-criteria formulations have been taken by the various authors around the world. So I have taken this particular numericals from the Ismail and Janel's 2017 paper. They have done a multi-criteria decision analysis mainly on the nature conservations, and they have taken last 20 years data to show which are the various, how the authors are taking the alternative, how they are defining the alternative, how they are creating the formulations, criteria formulation is being done, and so on. So as per the alternative definition, 41% have no predefined alternatives, right? So they do not have any predefined alternatives. So they have come with the process of doing the MCDA. 24% have got the alternatives already existing, and they are just trying to apply it in their own study area and to see the applicability of those alternatives. Next, the 20% are those who have the alternatives have been identified and designed during the study solely by the author. So it is the one-man show. It is the author who is actually identifying and designing these alternatives. And then we have got the fourth one, which is about the 15% of the total, where it is being these alternatives have been defined and designed during the study with the inputs from the stakeholders. So you can see that out of the entire 100%, 15% are those type of things, which those type of MCD analysis that has been done, which have been come out where the alternatives have been generated out of the inputs from the stakeholders. Similarly, related to the criteria formulation, if you look at the sharing, partitioning, so 49% of the criteria was formulated by the authors. Then 16% are the criteria were being formulated and the inputs have been taken from the other experts. So that is author and other expert, a team of expert have been involved into the formulation of the criteria. Then next is the 27%, where it has the formulation of the criteria has been done on the basis of the consensus that has been come from the stakeholders, their ideas, their experiences, their comments. So that have actually helped them to determine the criteria. And the 8% where the criteria was being formulated out of the general public views or through the household survey. So next is about determining the weightage for the data analysis. So you can see that 2% is they haven't performed, they haven't given any weightage. That means whatever criteria they have taken, they have given equal weightage to all. So it is like no special weightage has been given to certain criteria. So either it has not been described or it has not been performed. Next is the 26% are those where the weightage have been performed by the author himself. Then 17% multiple weighing performed by the author to stimulate different perspective. 24% that involves experts or the stakeholders, and the 31%, a good amount of percent, where the multiple weighing performed by involving the expert and the stakeholders. So a number of up and downs, a number of trial and error has been done to come to the conclusion and to identify the weightage of various criteria. Now, once the result is done, once the output is available, then we have to do the sensitivity analysis. So with reference to the validation of our final product, it has been found that nearly 43% have not either not performed or they haven't described about the sensitivity analysis or the validation of these models. Then the 19% they have tried to change the weights, and then they have again did the decision analysis to improve the result. Then some have by changing the scores, some by changing the criteria assessment method, some by changing the criteria aggregation rules, some testing the robustness by the result by collecting the general feedback from the participants and so on. So this is how you can see that nearly more than half of the analysis have actually used some type of adjustments or the modifications to make the final output or the final result more close to the ground, more close to the requirement of a particular place. So now we come to some examples. This is one from my paper, which is about the identification of malaria hotspots. So now we will try to see all these, the structure that have been discussed by us now. So the first is like objective is to identify the multi-criteria hotspots, and for that we have taken some of the climatic and environmental attributes or the indicators, as you can see. So we have the like temperature, relative humidity, rainfall. So these are the major criteria, and out of these we have further got the sub criteria in terms of the composite temperature and humidity suitability map, the rainfall homogeneous regions, mean NDVI, the altitude, slope, soil, and forest cover. So these are the sub criteria. Now after these sub criteria we have done the standardization. Like so the standardization of this all these criteria, since you can see that the NDVI or they comes in their scale varies between 0, -1 to +1. Then altitude is in meters, slope is in degrees, the soil is in nominal, and this is in percentage. So since all of them are having different measuring units, so we have standardized it into a range of 1 to 5, right? So that is called the risk characterizations to relative risk scores. Once that is being standardization is being done, we have determined the weightage of these criteria or the sub criteria using the analytical hierarchical process. So once the standard scores have been generated, their weightage has been given, we have used the weighted linear combinations to combine all these layers, and finally the identification of malaria risk zones or the hotspot zones were being done. The result was finally being validated using the primary and the secondary data sources. So this is how the table looks in terms of the weightage and the standardization. So as you can see, this is the influence is the percentage of weight that has been given to soil factor, to the criteria of soil, forest, climate suitability, rainfall, and so on. So this is the weightage that has been given. Now these are their values which has been standardized into a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing the very high degree of vulnerability, while 1 represent very low degree of vulnerability. So the standardization has been done and the weightage has been given, and we have this is the standardized criterion map. As we say, this is not the simple map but the criterion map. Here the values that are showing are with respect to the author's idea about the vulnerability of a particular criteria, right? So we can see the soil, NDVI, homogeneous region, and so on, and they have been standardized so that it can be compared with one another, and this gives us the final result of Plasmodium falciparum, that is the main hotspot zone for this particular vector, malaria vector and the parasite. So we can see the high region is mainly concentrated in the eastern central part, having in Chotanagpur plateau area some and then the high risk zones, moderate and low and no risk zones, or the very low risk zones have been identified. So this is one simple method of doing the multi-criteria decision analysis, GIS-based multi-criteria or the spatial MCDA. Now sometimes the problems become too difficult, too complex. So at that point of time, we need some method which will actually address the vagueness in the criteria, because the criteria within a region are not crisp, or their boundaries are not crisp. Instead, the boundaries are very much vague, right? And that's why at that time we need the fuzzy GIS MCDA, which mainly works for the risk analysis of a region, because such type of risk analysis are very much complex in nature. There is a lot of uncertainty which is there within it. So identification, the objective was to identification of areas with varying intensity of wetland conservation risk. And then as you can see in the structure of the framework of the research design, that is the attributes are the wetland conversion rate, canal proximity, road proximity, population density, then population growth rate, infrastructure status, livelihood status, and the social status. So all these elements have been taken, but of course the wetland conversion rate that has been extracted out of the satellite imageries, and they have been classified, and then we calculated the change detection, and then it was converted into a change detection rate map, raster map, right? So once that is being done, we included them within the fuzzy inference system framework. Of course, here the weightage has been given with respect to the membership functions and the linguistic variables, right? So a fuzzy inference system is also called the fuzzy rule based system, right? So aggregation method over here, it is the fuzzy inference system because it is also called the rule based system, and is an efficient scientific tool that stimulates the system to draw inferences from the model output. So you can see the four stages out of it, where we are defining the membership functions, where the linguistic variables are being defined, and then we construct the fuzzy f and then rules, and then we determine the model properties. So such one of the most used model of fuzzy inference technique is Mamdani model. The Mamdani provides more functionality to approximate human experience and knowledge in classification and decision making. So as you can see, this is the linguistic variable and membership functions of input indices. And you can see how the data has been standardized with respect to for the wetland conversion, it is low, moderate, high. For the road proximity, it is near, moderate, and far. And once these linguistic variables have been identified with respect to the membership functions, they were been plotted, or they have been presented under certain rules. So an if and then rule. So as you can see that the first rule is like, if wetland conversion is high and population density is not low and population growth rate is not low and infrastructure status is not low or livelihood status is low and social status is not low and road proximity is close, then the risk is high. So this is how we are giving rules to these criteria, so that they can evaluate they can analyze the situation, analyze the criteria. Following this, so these are the 8 criteria that were taken for the analysis, and the right one shows you the final output, that is the A is showing the fuzzy output at the various level of the risk, and the B is actually showing the categorization of the risk zone superimposed by fuzzy boundaries. So now you can clearly identify the risk zones risk zones in terms of the wetland conversions with respect to the other elements, or the other all, taking all criteria together in the near future. So this is how actually we can use, being a geographer, so having a knowledge from wide number of domain, we can use these tools to generate some scientific, informative, and more accurate outcomes which can be implemented at the ground level. Hope my lecture has been able to make you a bit more informed about the MCD analysis. So thank you for your patience for learning. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Khusro Moin. I'm an associate professor teaching at Crodimal College. I've been teaching geography for the past 15 years. And now today's topic for this interaction is GIS made easy with QGIS. Well, we as geographers, we all are not stranger to GIS, but yeah, not all of us teach GIS also. So here this interaction is all about demonstrating how to use particular software, that is QGIS, how easy it is to access and how easy it is to use. So I'll just share with you my small presentation in which we'll be discussing the advantages of QGIS, and then I'll show you how to use it, how to access it, how to download it, and then you'll yourself see and find it so easy to use. And we all know, we as geographers, all of us must know how to use a QGIS or a GIS software, because its use is not just confined to us geographers alone, but in every sphere, be it corporate, be it government offices. GIS has become common everywhere and almost everyone uses it. So in that scenario, we as geographers, those who are not teaching GIS, should also know. And in my demonstration, my main approach and my main endeavor is just to familiarize you all with the usage and how easy it is. You'll find yourself once I start demonstrating it. But before that, just let me share with you my small presentation. So yeah, there's a topic: GIS made easy with QGIS. Now, what is GIS? Needless to emphasize, we all know GIS is a geographic information system. It's a computer-based system that has the ability to capture, manage, analyze, and display different kinds of geographically referenced information. It allows us to view, interpret, and visualize data in various ways. It reveals patterns and trends in the form of maps, reports, and charts. And now we all see with time, GIS has evolved, and just merely from a data analysis tool, it has assumed this the status of where it provides spatial decision support system, where people from different professionals, they coordinate and they make decision process quite interactive. So then you have virtual GIS, where definitely it's a system where capability of navigating capability, and it helps you make understand complex terrain and terrain-based database. So not just a tool for map making, but yeah, it's also has evolved over time, and its role has multiplied. Now let's move on. Now, GIS softwares which we use now, they are manufactured or built by development teams, and some of them produce it commercially, the other produce it in as a open source model. We'll just go on and discuss this now. COTS, or commercial off the shelf software, that means the word commercial itself signify, okay, it's not free, so you have to pay some small fee, or large fee might not be very small, so you have to pay a fee to use that. That means you have to pay a small license fee. So time and again I'm saying small, but it's actually not small fee. You have to pay a hefty sum. And then also, that is not all. Every year you have to renew the license, and again you have made to pay a fee. Now the second is, as the name suggests, free and open source software. Free, that means the access to this particular software is free of cost. You don't have to pay any kind of fee, any kind of license fee. Here you can use it, you can modify it, you can circulate the program, and you can, yeah, definitely modify it. If you have the capability to write the program, you can do it, you can share it, and they'll definitely. So this accessibility without paying anything definitely makes it more accessible, and it's widening its use. So we'll see. Let's move on to some more open GIS softwares and see there are a number of other open source softwares like GRASS, very useful. You'll see Quantum GIS we'll be working on. Saga, extremely useful for processing data. We'll be using this software here on this platform. Elvis, GVSIG, Forestry GIS, DYGIS, and so on and so forth. There are many other software which are not listed here. So our focus now is Quantum GIS, that is QGIS. As already emphasized, already said, this is an easy to use open source software, don't have to pay any fee. It's a project of open source Geospatial Foundation. It's a multi-platform application. You can use it, and you have numerous plugins which allow the usage of other softwares here. So it's compatible with Linux, Mac, Windows operating systems, and it also supports numerous vector, raster, and database formats. We can, with the help of this software, we can analyze data, we can easily visualize 3D data, also manage and edit and compose different kinds of maps. So here I'll demonstrate how to download it. So I can show you the first thing you go, how to access this software. Straight away go to your Google, write in QGIS download. Click the button here and you'll see this would appear, download QGIS. Then again, if you scroll down, you'll find this version 3.22. Then there's another version. We just scroll down further. You may have 64-bit, depending upon the processor. You can choose 32-bit or 64-bit. I'll be choosing 64-bit. And as you press the button here, the download quickly starts here in the left-hand corner. You can see one I've already downloaded, and the other one is in progress. So it will take a while, but for the convenience, and I've already downloaded this, and I'll show you. So let me go and show it's in the download section. Here in the download section, if I go and access my download section, just let me see downloads. In the download section here, in the download section, you can see here I've downloaded two softwares different. So either one of them, I'll just take the button here. It would open. Is going to ask, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Just have to press yes, and then it's going to ask me further, okay, this already installed on your system. Since I've already installed for demonstration here, because it takes a long time, about 10 to 15 minutes to download. So I've already downloaded. So in other words, you won't get this message. It'll directly start for your permission to install. What you have to do is just have to give it permission time to time. Okay, then again one window will pop up, and again it'll ask for something to continue. Then you have to press continue, or it will be asking next. Keep on doing next, and I agree, and next, and ultimately it will show finish, and it will be perfectly installed. So once it is installed, what would happen? Once it is installed, if you want to start the program, what you have to do, go straight away here, press it, and you will see the option here, QGIS, series of QGIS is option here. And now you have to press 3.1 with grass. Press this one. I'll double click here and it opens. It's taking a while. Now, it is opened here. Now I'll start a fresh project. So there's a white sheet here, new project. I'll click here. So my software is ready to use. Now, here what we'll be doing, I'll be demonstrating two exercises. One will be your georeferencing, the very first thing, which we all do, georeferencing of any map. Second is digitization and map making. So I'll start with georeferencing. So I'll minimize here. I have a map. I have saved the map in this folder. And this map is, we have a Bihar map. I'll show you here. This Bihar map. This is having lat long, but once we load this map on the canvas of the software, these lat longs will not be functional anymore. We have to mark a lat long to make the map compatible with the canvas and to further use it. So I'm just closing it here. I wanted to show you. So I have a folder where I've saved this map. So let me close this folder. Now I'll bring that map here. Open up here and georeference that map. What we'll do, as I've shown you, demonstrated you, now I'll open the software and I'll bring that map. So that map is in the raster form. The two forms we all know, geographers, raster and vector. So that that map, you can use scan map, you can download any map, scan map, anything, all that is in raster. So you have to go to straight away, either you go to raster, you have to georeference. Okay, raster, press here. There's a georeferencer icon here, georeferencer. Click here and you'll see a window would pop up here, a larger window. Now here we'll load the map. map which has to be georeferenced. So add raster, open raster or add raster. Click here. Is going to ask. So I know I've already marked the map. So the map was in folder. So desktop, in which desktop I have maps. In this map folder, I have number of map. So I'll be choosing, suppose I want to choose this one, Bihar watermark compressed. You have Chhattisgarh map, then you have other Bihar practice map, but we'll choose Bihar watermark compressed. Click here, open here. Just give few seconds. It's going to be loaded here. Now this map is loaded here. Here the map contains latitudes, longitudes and latitudes. Here you can see, and these are points where they are crossing. There's 27-degree latitude and 84-degree longitude. So we are going to mark these points of intersection, lat long, and mark the points. And then we'll after marking the point, that will be georeferenced. I'll show the entire process how it goes about. So the first thing we have to go to, you can see an icon here, a wheel kind of thing, a screw kind of thing, which is transformation settings. This setting window. Press here. There are a number of options here. First one is transformation type. Here, once you press it, you'll get a number of options. Polynomial 1, 2, 3, and others. What we have to concentrate here, we can take polynomial 1. In that, if we choose polynomial 1, then at least we have to mark more than 3 points. If we choose polynomial 2, then we have to at least mark 6 and more points. If you choose polynomial 3, then at least 10 points. So seeing the time constraint, I'll choose polynomial 1 so that we have to mark lesser number of points, ground control points. I'll choose polynomial 1. Then in the other choice, always nearest neighbor for our needs. Then target SRS. This shows the projection, what kind of projection use. And I'll choose WGS84 by default. Otherwise, if you have anything and the projection you want to choose, you can just type in here. Suppose we are using WGS84 is given here. And even if it's not given here, you can, depending upon the need of your projection or map, you simply write WGS84 and then choose it. It'll appear here, W4326 WGS84. Output raster, you want to save it here somewhere, you have to save a position, give it a name, modified or compressed, Bihar. I'll write modified, Bihar modified map. So it will be saved as, oh, sorry. Modified map. So there's a name I've given. And then save GCP points. It will load GCP, load in GIS when done. Okay. After doing this, now there are some icons here. So this icon, it adds the point. Suppose you want to mark point lat long, it will be added here. Next is delete points. If the point is marked wrong, you can delete it. And third is move GCP points. Suppose it is marked at a wrong place, you can move the point around and try to bring it and fit it in the most suitable place. So we have to mark it first. So I'll choose add points and then scroll in. I'll scroll in. First, I'll make sure what is the latitude or longitude, 84, and here 27 degrees the latitude. So there is a point of intersection, and I'll mark my points in such a way that if I'm marking 4 points, taking polynomial 1, then I'll mark in such a way that the points are completely spread out and covers the entire area of the map. This we must do, we must ensure to have a better results. So just zoom in, and as I show you, the longitude is 84 and this is 27, and the most, here I would like to mark. Click here, then a window again would pop up. Here you just have to be careful, X and Y is given here. So normally what we do, X is taken to be latitude and Y, that is vertical, is taken to be longitude. Here the thing is reverse. X you have to fill in longitude. Just remember, you have to fill in longitude at X. And what is longitude? 84. Similarly, in Y, we have to fill in latitude. And what was the latitude? It was 27. Done? Okay. Now just zoom out, and with the help of this pan, this hand figure icon here, click on icon, and then you can drag your map right and left. So we just drag to the right and see this is the place, and there's the 87-degree longitude, and there's the point of intersection. There's 27-degree latitude. Just need to zoom in further. 87 and oh no, yeah, 87 and 27. This is 87 and this is 27. It's needed to go there. Yeah, again we have to choose add point. Click here, and finding the most equal position, click here. Longitude first, that means 87. Then the y latitude, it was 27. Okay, now let's move on to the third point. These are the points marked in the northern direction. Now we'll move further south, and to be more precise, southeast here. This is the point of intersection, 25-degree latitude, and this one is 84-degree longitude. 84 and 25. Just have to remember this. This is the point of it. Just zoom out. This is a point of intersection. Again, we'll go to add points. Click here and mark my point here. Yeah. How much was 84 was the longitude and 25 was the latitude. First, we'll type in longitude and then latitude. Okay. Then the last point, fourth point, we'll take here. Okay, here this point, I'm ensuring that the points are spread and cover the region of the map completely. And see, this is 87 and this is 25. So I'll zoom in here, 87 and 25. Here, I'll again mark point, choose here, I can add points. Click here. Now it is 87 longitude and 25 latitude. Is okay. So we have marked 4 points here. So there's some error in this point. It's asking for, so it's spread out. We can correct this error. You can use this move GCP points, and I can move this point around here. I can move it like anywhere, wherever it's suitable, or this can be moved here. So depending upon where it is minimizing the error, or we can let it be like this. You can let it be like this. And now once we have marked all this, what we need to see, we can see here 4 points are marked. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4 points are marked. Here in the error section, we need to ensure that mean error should be less than 1, should be 1 and less than 1. But here my mean error is more. That means there's some the points which I've marked are not exactly precise. So you can move your points. So for that, see pixels there, and we can reduce the mean error by moving the points. You can move the points here. We have to first hold the point here. See, the numbers are coming down, and as I'm moving it, it's coming down further down, 1. So there might be is yahan pe ho sakta hai. So error is also minimized. Mean error will come down. You can, as you move the point, so you can minimize the mean error, and mean error should always be less. You can have all this table, GCP table here. Once this is all done, once you are ensured the points are properly marked, the final step is going to a icon here. There's a green color icon which reads Start Geo Referencing. As you scroll your mouse over this icon, this would pop up here, start georeferencing. Press this button and wait a while, just few seconds. Yeah, georeference successful, raster was successfully georeferenced, and your map will automatically be georeferenced and loaded up here. Bihar modified map, as the name I had already given it, attribute this name. So minimize this, and you see the map is loaded here on this canvas. See, here in this layer section, this map is loaded here. Now these are points also we can see, but sometimes when you close the window and you try to open this georeference map, this point might not appear. That doesn't mean that is not georeferenced. It again is georeferenced, even if the points don't appear here. Even then it is georeferenced, because once I close it and open it, these points might disappear. So there's a georeference map, and now we can also make sure genuinely it is georeferenced, or just see, we'll check. So in the browser here, there will be an option. I'm doing this exercise just to make myself sure whether this has been done properly or not, properly georeferenced or not. So there's a icon XYZ tiles. As you press this XYZ tiles, this opens OpenStreetMap. I would like to open this OpenStreetMap. I've opened this OpenStreetMap. Okay, so this overlies this Bihar modified map. What I'll do, I'll drag this OpenStreetMap below Bihar modified map, because it's covering up completely now. Now this my map overlies the lower map. This OpenStreetMap is actually a Google map, which is built in map here with the software. The software is been provided with OpenStreetMap. Or in other words, if you're not provided, you can simply go and add this this kind of service or OpenStreetMap here. You can add this, but here it's provided. And now I'm using this just to check it. The exercise of georeferencing is done, but I'm just making it doubly sure whether the georeferencing was proper. So what I'll do, I'll say this Bihar modified, go to properties, and here in transparency, I'll press the transparency and then bring down the opacity level to about 40 degrees, 40-degree opacity level, global opacity. I'll bring it down to 40 to see if my map completely overlies on the map of OpenStreetMap. Apply. Okay. See, my map is completely, these points are completely lying over the map of Bihar. If I just bring down the raised opacity properties, I want to raise the opacity here, so map can be properly more visible. Apply. Okay. See, the map lies over Bihar map, the entire map of India, and then if I switch it off and on, and then we'll check. See here, my map is completely lying over the map of OpenStreetMap, Google Map ke upar. It's completely lying over this, and that means, see, scroll down, my map is lying here. The map which I've georeferenced, it's automatically fits in here. That means my georeference was almost perfect. Now this is the exercise of georeferencing. Now we'll be doing the next exercise of digitization and map making. So let's start with the next exercise. Now you can see here the software is open, the canvas is here, it's clear. Now what we have to do, the first thing we have to do is to bring the map and open that into this canvas. Now we'll go to layer, and in layer we'll add layer, and we have to very carefully add a raster layer, because the map which we have, the scanned map of Bihar which we worked in the previous exercise, is a raster image, a scan map. So we'll click here, and then inside the window we'll be looking, we'll search for the map where we have kept the map. So in desktop folder, map folder, we have, yeah, this was the map we worked in the previous exercise of georeference. We have georeferenced this map, Bihar modified map. We'll open this map here, click and open. Now after doing this, add, so, and close this. So you can see the georeference map is automatically opened up here. This is the map, same map which we georeferenced in the previous exercise. So we are using the same map to work on, and I'll demonstrate how to use, how to digitize the map. So just you have to look a little, be more careful here. So now once you open the map, you can see it's here. There's a layer. Now for digitization, the first exercise which we have to do is go to, again, click the button layer. And here what you have to do, instead of add layer, you have to create layer, create layer. And once you run your mouse over create layer, your pointer over create layer, what you would see, you have to have new shape file layer, new. That means you are creating a new shape file layer. So always click on new shape file layer, click, and you will see a big window will pop up here. And here, first thing, file name. So what you do, don't just write the name here. No, don't do it. Instead, just click into this window, browse into this window, and it's going to take you to the position where you want to save your file. So where you want to save your file, I want to save my file here in, I have to see first, map folder mein, we have new, I've made a new map folder. So in this folder, I'll save my file here. So I'll open this folder, and here I'll write a name of the file. Let's make the name Bihar new. Bihar new is a map. No, instead of writing Bihar new, let's make it let's make it Bihar new save. So Bihar new shape here. System, let it be in the setting by default. Geometry type. Now click on this drop down window, and it offers you several options. So if you want to have digitize a point, you'll mark a point. If you want to digitize multiple points, then you can do it simply. You want to digitize a line, you have to choose this one. And if you have digitized a polygon, you have to choose this one. Now here in this case, first we'll digitize a polygon. Why polygon? Because I want to digitize the entire state with its district boundary. So I've chosen polygon. So an enclosed area, an area I'm going to digitize. So that's why when you have to digitize an area, you have to choose polygon. A polygon, then move on, and there's a projection it's asking for. Here you can click onto this. There are several projections. I would suggest mostly we can choose WGS 84 4326 or another projection 3287, like this projection is also there. You can choose that also. So we will choose WGS 84, which is already given there. WGS 84 4326 4326. Here WGS 84 4326. I've chosen this one. Now you have to name the field. So I'll be digitizing district. So I'll give the name attribute, the name district. I'll be naming district. Then ABC text data, you can write the name of the district, whatever name it is, you can write. Then length, it is 80, keep it 80, let it be. Then the next one is add to field list. Once you press this one, you can see district is added here with string and 80. You can remove, there's an ID here, ID integer 10. You can remove this ID or you can let it be there. There's no harm in that. So I'm leaving this ID here and I'll move on to press OK. The moment we press OK, what you see in the left hand corner in the layers, we see a creation of a layer by the name Bihar New. If you remember the name which I allotted to the layer I was making, the very first name Bihar New. So this is the layer Bihar New, and this is a polygon layer. Now I'll select this one. I'll select this one like this. You have selected this. Once you click on this, you have selected this. Just one click, and you move on to the icon section here. So there's a pencil mark. The moment you put your cursor here, it will say toggle editing. Click on this toggle editing. You'll see it will illuminate several icons here. Add polygon, like if I click it, It'll go back. Now if I click it, it's on. So this has actually these icons, they come alive here the moment I press this one. Let's add polygon feature. Now by clicking this, I can, if I click here, I can move on and add, start digitization. But before doing that, there's one exercise which we must do before starting our digitization. We have to switch on the snapping options. I'll show you why it is required here. I don't find here the snapping option. No. So if you don't find any option, what you do, go to the view section and just go scroll down here. There are two things. One is panels and the other is toolbars. In toolbars, you see what we find here, snapping toolbar. Click this snapping toolbar and see one red magnet kind of shaped horseshoe shape icon appears here. This is actually snapping option. Will enable. This is enabled. Actually, this is enabled. Now it is disabled. Now enable it, and whatever layer you want to choose, all layers. Let's make it all layers. I've made it here. The second option is vertex or segment. I'll choose both vertex and segment. It's up to you, whatever you choose. It's better to choose both. Now here, 10, let it be 10, or you can make it 12 or 11. I'm making here 12. And here in the option, degrees and px means pixel, make it pixel. Now this is enabled. I'll show you why I've enabled this once I start doing my digitization. Now I have enabled everything. Now what I'll do, I'll go to add polygon feature, click here, and then I'll start my digitization. So I just have to, before I start digitization, what I need to do is I have to zoom properly and make sure that my digitization lines just run over the exact boundaries of the map we are digitizing. So I'll be digitizing 1 or 2 districts here to demonstrate. Otherwise, if I digitize all 40, 50 districts, then it's going to take about 45 to 1 hour. So there's time constraint also, but I'll show you how to do. Now straight away I'll start my digitization here. This is Paschimi Champaran. So I'll start my digitization from here and see. Just have to keep on clicking on the boundary. And there's something which requires some patience and also some time, because the more, and also you have to zoom in for better digitization. So my digitization might not be better because I'm doing it a little faster, and that too I have not zoomed in properly. But the ones who will be doing this activity, this exercise, may please zoom in properly and make sure that you do this exercise in a more precise manner. And yeah, just have to lift, go down to see where the exact one. Yeah, this boundary runs here. Yeah, you can use the button also to move up and down. See, this is Paschimi Champaran. I have to scroll down further, yeah, to locate the boundary. I'm doing it a little faster, otherwise it will take much and more time. So wherever you want to end it, what you have to do, you have to press the right click of your mouse like this, and the window will open up here. One is ID. If you want to give it an ID, suppose I want to give an ID I1, so it's 1, and the district name is Paschim Champaran, right? Paschim Champaran. Paschim Champaran. This is the name I've given here. And finally, you have to press OK. You see, this particular district is digitized. Sorry. Yeah, this digitized. Similarly, we'll do the digitization of other districts. So now one more district I would like to show, and I would also like to show you why I've switched on the snapping options. Now I want to digitize this district. This is Gopalganj. I want to digitize this district, and why I've switched on this snapping option, I'll also show you. So just let me, yeah. Now there's a boundary. I have to start my digitization touching this boundary, and this boundary is also common with Gopalganj. So in order to avoid any kind of overlap, or in order to avoid any kind of gap between these two districts, I have switched this option on, snapping option on. So if you see, as I'm drawing my cursor near this boundary of this Paschimi Champaran, see, one pink cross appears here. See, I'm running along this boundary, and then you can see all along the boundary, I'm here, and this is more clear here. I'm just drawing it near, and you see this pink, yeah, the moment it comes closer, a pink box or pink cross appears here. Now this is a marker that, yeah, I'm exactly on the line, and I can start my digitization from here. This is a line exactly, there's no overlap, and there's no such kind of a gap between these two boundaries. I can start my digitization from here. So let's start. Click. You need to see, this line is boundary is going here. The map is actually not that clear. You can use a better map also. Yeah, I have to just move out, zoom out to see the exact boundary here. As I zoom in, it gets more and more blurred. Yeah, this boundary is going, yeah. Since, as I told you, I'm digitizing is a little faster, there might be some lot of errors, not some error. So just for to make up for time scarcity, scroll up. Now, yeah, I'm approaching near this boundary. So what I have to do, as I approach, I just make sure, yeah, this pink line appears. I'll click my line here, press button, my mouse click here. Then again, I'll run it over the line and make sure that it doesn't waver off this line. It exactly lies on the line here, so that there's no gap, because this line is common. So I have to make sure. So this is the boundary. I right click again. I'll give it 2, and the name was Gopalganj, and I'll press this. Okay. Now you can see the line also is quite clear demarcation here. and the line 2 districts have digitized. And similarly, using same methodology, same method, then you can digitize entire state, which I've done, which I've already done. I'll show you the exact map of digitized map, but just see how it is done. So this is how we digitize the area. That means polygon. Polygon. If you want to digitize the area, you have to go and choose the polygon option. So there is a area we have digitized. It's an enclosed boundary. It's an area. Now, what if you want to digitize a river, or if you want to digitize say railway line or road or any linear feature? If you want to digitize, what will we do? Again, as I've shown you, again we have to create a new layer here, like Bihar new I've created for digitization of area. I again have to create a new layer here in the left hand corner. You can see the Bihar new. I have to create a new layer, and again I'll go to the same layer, click the mouse, layer, create layer, new shapefile layer, and I'll click this new shapefile layer. Instead of writing the name here, don't write the name here. Instead of writing them, just click on this button, browse here, and you have to this is a new map folder in which I'm shaping this maps folder, and maps folder, new map folder. I'm saving my new file. The file name is suppose I want to digitize a river. I give the name river. Linear feature I have to digitize river of Bihar. Let the name be river of Bihar. So I do this, I save. Now you can see where the location is. It comes here. Let the system be in the default geometry type. Here I will choose, instead of polygon, what I'll choose is line, because it's a linear thing. River elongated feature, so line. And after that this projection I'll be choosing, again same projection, WGS84 4326. okay, this is the same ESPP. You can see here. So there's a projection. I'll choose name of the river should be river, title river, text, length, whatever. Add to field list. I'll click the button add. Then you have ID. I can remove this ID also. I don't need here ID. What I'll choose this ID, and go at the bottom right hand side. There's an button which reads remove field. I'll remove it. So ID has been removed, and what is left is river string. Okay, this remains there, and the ID has been removed. Now I'll press OK. So what you see, that river of Bihar appears here. This is a new layer which I've created by the name river of Bihar. Now I'll choose this layer. I've chosen this layer. I've clicked on this, and see it turns blue. That means I've selected this layer. Now just go up and again see the pencil icon. It reads toggle editing. Press it. It brings alive this icon, add line feature. Okay, you can see it quite clearly. Add line feature. Switch it off, switch it on. Once you press this pencil icon, it will appear here. Now you can choose add line feature. Now I've chosen this. Now I'll choose the river. Any river here in Bihar. What is the name here? Let's choose, what is the name of this river? Okay, hypothetically we give any name, like give it Ganga. Let's give a name Ganga. Ganga river goes through Ganga Ghagra Doab. So I'll give the name Ganga to it and choose a point here. Yeah, you have to press this button, add line feature. You have to click here first, only then it will start digitization. You see it is ready for digitization. I'll mark the river from here. No, I'll not be taking this line outside their state, but yeah, from here I'll start my river, and I'll start digitization. The line may be very thin and the color is also red. You might not be able to see it, but I'll show you. Once I finish my digitization, I'll show you. It comes till here. Now what I do, once I finish, I reach the end of the river, I'll right click the mouse, and the name river appears. It asks for name. I'll give the name Ganga. Now press the button. Okay. The Ganga river has been digitized, and whoa, you might not be able to see, but just let me switch off the lower layer and you will see the river appears here. See, very thin line, because very thin. Now I can also widen the line, make it more thick and more prominent. What I'll do, river of Bihar I've selected, right click the mouse, go to properties, and in properties I'll be choosing, first I would like to change the color of the river, or first I'll choose this one. See, this is an option. There's a thick line. I would like to make the line thick, but the color is red. I want to change the color of river to blue, dark blue color. Yeah, there's a color I've chosen. Now I'll apply here and say okay. You can see the river is blue and it's quite prominent. And this, I'll switch on this layer also on which we were digitizing. See, even if the layer is on, you can see the river, and because I've thickened the line, there's a river. Okay, so the river has been digitized, the linear line has been digitized. Similarly, in a very similar manner, we can also digitize the points. Suppose I want to mark a city, a town, a place, a house, anything I want to mark. So that I can do, I have to mark a point. So that I can do with marking a point and choosing the option of point. Similarly, again, I've shown you polygon, area, line, and then again, I'll create one more layer. What I'll do, straight away, go to layer, click on layer, create layer, go to new shapefile layer, click my button here. Instead of writing the name, you'll browse into this window, press the button over there. Now I'll have to write cities. Suppose I want to write the name of cities. So write cities, make a layer of cities by the name cities, save. So it's full. Let the system be as it is. Geometry type. Here we'll choose point. Okay, this point here. We'll choose point because we are going to mark the point. Cities and points here represented through points. So projection, we have kept the same. I've told you where to choose the projection from. You can choose a projection from here, preferably WGS84, this one. Now the name is city, and add text data, everything is there. Add to field list, I've added. Now again, I want to remove ID. Choose the ID and remove it, remove field. Now I'll say everything. Oh, okay, I've not written the name. Okay. So the name cities, you can see a point appears here, dot, and the name cities appear. That means I've created a new layer. Now I have to mark the layer. First I have to start digitization or marking these points. Now these are certain cities I can see over here: Jahanabad, Gaya, Aurangabad, Nevada, Sheikhpura and all. I want to mark these places. What I do, I'll just first, as I told you, select the cities. It turns blue. Now that means it is selected. Go up, use the pencil icon, toggle editing, press it. It illuminates these icons here, the dots you can see, and press on this dot. What it says, add point feature. So press on this dot, and if you want to mark Jahanabad, so mark here Jahanabad. Immediately it's asked what's the name. Write the name Jahanabad. Done. Point appears here, red point. Now second city is Nevada. Nevada, I have to mark Nevada, so Nevada is here. Nevada. Done. Gaya lies somewhere here, so mark the point Gaya. Is Gaya. Okay, I marked 3 cities: Jahanabad, Nevada, and Gaya. You might not be able to see because it blends with the color of the background map. So I would like to show you by switching off this layer. You can take it off like this, and you can see these dots, and they have their names. And if I choose to see, suppose there's an icon, select feature by area, click here. I've chosen here. So these are the cities which I have selected by different names. So I just scroll out, you see all these layers are on, and the lower layer on which I digitized the map which I used for digitization. This is the map which I've used for digitization. I've marked polygon, I've marked straight line, that line, and I've also marked here points. So all three, point, line, and area, can be easily digitized on this map. Now I would like to show you the entire map of this Bihar, how I've digitized. I've already digitized and saved it. I'll just like to show you here. First, let me switch off all other maps here. I've switched off. Now I'll add the map here. How to add? Go to layer, add layer, and this time you have to add, since I've already digitized the map, I have to add vector layer instead of raster. Add vector layer because what I'm adding is a digitized map, which is vector. So I'll click here and I'll go and look for the map where I've saved it. Yeah, I've saved by the name Bihar Geo package here. I'll click here and then open, and then add. See, this entire map I've digitized for Bihar state. You can see the digitized map of Bihar. It's quite clear. Now, if I open the base map, which I use for digitization, see, this is the map which I digitized. This is the base map. See, it's completely digitized. Now, one by one, I'll open other layers. Like I'll bring down this layer first. I'll switch it off. I'll bring this layer down. Yeah. Bihar layer. Now I'll switch on the cities layer. Cities, you can see 3 cities. If I want to change the color to make it more prominent, what I'll do, I'll choose the cities, then click route button, go to properties, and here I'll choose this star color. I'll change the color to green to appear more bright. I'll choose this color, and then yeah, apply. Okay, you can see, oh, this I've already chosen. So yeah, these are 3 cities which I've chosen. These are 3 cities which I've marked. There's a point like cities. Now similarly, river I've marked. I'll switch on this layer, tick on this. You can see the river which I've digitized, and the other Bihar new map which I've digitized 2 district boundaries. That is the map here. This is also digitized, same thing. So I'll switch this off. So this entire map which has been digitized with polygon. You have a layer of river here, line, linear, and again you have a point. So this digitization of all 3 features is complete, and I'll just show you. There's very less time, but I just want to show you. We can also we can switch off this thing. We can make Koropit and many other maps. Suppose this is all these districts are there. I can also show you. Like I have to choose this first, this one, Bihar Geo package. Right click, go to open attribute table, and these are the, I think, district names here, which is all districts. Say Katihar up to Katihar, I have said. And there's the literacy rate, which I can remove. I've just, before the beginning of this class, I was just trying to play with this, so I can remove this also. You can have to click again click this pencil button to activate it, and then there's an icon delete field. I can delete this literacy rate, delete. Okay, similarly I can add field also. I can add field here. Click this button, new field. I want to add literacy rate or sex ratio or whatever. Literacy rate, whole number, let it be like this. Okay, so literacy rate, and I can fill in literacy rate, say 87, 98, 77, 60, 55, 54, 90, 87, 99, 66, 55, 88, and 98, 67, 65, 45. I can go on and fill the entire this table and completely fill the table up to 37, but I'm not going to do it. I just want to demonstrate you how to make the map. Suppose I want to make a coral pit map. Now once you've filled in, you can save it like toggle editing mode. There's a save edits. You can save it. Now once you have saved it, you can close this. Now if you want to make a map here, easily go to Bihar, right click, go to properties, and in properties you have to press the button symbology here, then go to this drop down window, single symbol, and go to graduated. I want to make a coral pit graduated. Now in graduated, I have to select literacy rate. I want to make a map of literacy rate, coral pit of literacy rate here, symbol, and then color ramp. I can change the color ramp. I can use green like this for lighter, or you can change any blue also. I've taken blue here. Now you have you can have classes. So these are either you have equal kind of division, or you can have pretty breaks. You can minimize it, category, make it 3 categories, and then once you've made 3 categories, you can apply it and okay. That means I've chosen only those maps, only those districts of which I filled in the data. Rest it was taking much more time, so I didn't fill in. But there's the map, this is how I can prepare. You can see the lighter version, this less low density, low literacy rate. Then you have medium literacy rate, and then 80 and 90, the darker blue, high literacy rate. This is a kind of coral pit map which I can make here. The actual map is actually lost here. Bihar literacy rate, and I have to open again the new map, same map from there. Add layer, add vector layer, and then I'll go in Bihar geo package. Add Bihar map is open here. So this is how I wanted to show you. You can also make a good, I would say, coral pit map, and also other kinds of map using this. That was just an example I wanted to demonstrate. And here I have not filled in all the data. I have not filled in the data of almost all the districts. Just to demonstrate, we have chosen 10-15 districts so that I can show you. So now this is the exercise which I've completed. And I thank you all very much for being so patient with me and for being listening to me. Thanks a lot.
This is Shekhar Verma from St. Andrews College, Gorakhpur. And I feel delighted, privileged, and also honored for being a part of this great exercise which is dedicated to Professor R.B. Singh sir, who was a great geography scholar. I really wish to express my gratitude to Professor Seema Mehra Pariharji, the convener of this refresher course, and her entire organizing team. And really, it's a matter to be connected to such a scholarly audience. The program for faculty enrichment, which is dedicated to Professor R.B. Singh, entitled Geography, Geographers, and Geospatial Technologies, imparting physical, social, and gendered spaces. Here, the topic of my discussion is Literary Geographies by Sheila Holmes, Narrative Space in Let Great World Spin. As the title suggests, This book is a detailed study of one novel, Colum McCain's Let the Great World Spin, which tells the story of French artist Philippe Petit's famous daring wire walk between the Twin Towers of the newly built World Trade Center in New York in 1974. At the same time, Hohn's book is a manifesto for a particular way of doing literary geography, a refreshingly untexted book like foray into the theories and methods of geographically attuned reading, text as it happens. At the center of Hohn's argument about literature and geography is the idea of novel not as a thing but an event. As Hohn writes, fiction can usually be understood as a geographic event, a dynamic unfolding collaboration happening in time and space. This is a useful approach because all writing and all reading happens somewhere, understanding the novel not as a thing, the text, but as an event which emerges out of highly complex spatial interactions that connect writer, text, and reader, pushes the conversation beyond reader, response theory, and into literary geography. Hohn's focus on the event of the novel as a dynamic, unfolding collaboration in time and space also enables her to address the habit of literary thought that literary geographers have long found questionable, that time is the fundamental organizing principle of fiction and space is an optional extra. Another key idea in Hohn's book is the idea that literary space is a real space. Hohn deftly demonstrates how fictional spaces can constitute the production of space in everyday life. The fictional space of the text, for instance, is interwoven with the socio-spatial dimension of the novel's creation due to the interaction of author and editor which led to its creation. Yet, this space also grounds the uncertain intertextual spaces which open out of the text through reading. Hohn's puts two ideas about reading books, where first is the notion that books are repositories of attitudes or response to places. The second idea that Hohn's challenges is the individual, immobile, isolated reader. The immobile reader is cut off from space and time around him or her, has been long been a mainstay of literary criticism. Consider, for instance, the work of sociologists of literature such as Adam Reed. Reed's pen portraits of British members of the Henry Williamson Society focused on their individual acts of reading at home, in bed, on the sofa, on the toilet, drawn out of the world around them into silent commune with the author and his text. In contrast, Hohn's emphasis on the novel as a dynamic event happening in space and time helps to bridge the apparent gap between the silent, absorbed reader and the world around them. It gives us a way to think about reading as it really is, not as a break from the world, but as a fundamental part of everyday's life. What I can understand as a researcher or as a student of literature or as a student of life literature, I can only understand one thing very positively, that the action of time and space is always needed, and geography has a big role to play in any kind of field. Whether we talk about Newton's 3 laws of motion, whether we talk about Galileo, or whether we talk about any scientific discoveries, all have the action of time and space. We are not supposed to understand anything on the basis of only theories. We are always trying to get concrete material so that it can be proved. This is what I had to say. Thank you very much. And once again, my humble gratitude to the organizing committee and Professor Seema Mera Pariharji for this grand offer. Thank you very much. All the best.